Good evening. It is Tuesday night, December 27th, 2022. I'm your host, John Shink. How are you tonight? Who's John Shink? John Shink is talking about himself in the third person. Anyway, I am the managing broker and founder of Deerwood Realty in St. Louis. We're a small residential real estate firm, so small that it's just me. I help buyers buy homes and sellers sell theirs in the evenings, late, usually around 9. I do a live stream, the Deerwood Realty live stream. We talk about pop culture. We talk about business. We talk about economics. We talk about housing. Anything else. I like to opine on things. I like to hear what you have to say. I like to see what you have to say. Put it in the chat. Put it in the comment section. I don't know that we'll go the entire time tonight. I'm just getting kind of into the streaming again. I just noticed I got this sweater. I'm sorry about that. Oh, now it looks even worse because there's all this dust from the kitchen sewer floor situation, sewer lateral. Anyway, yeah, I don't know if I'll go all tonight because I don't know. Just getting into it in the sense that I've been off for a while. Last stream I think was Friday. I don't know when the last stream was. Let's check. Last stream was I mean, does it really matter when it was? Kind of to me. This was the whole point of why I may not stream for a long time. Last stream was on the 21st. And the 21st was when? 21st was Wednesday. Oh my God. Thursday and Friday I didn't do one. Sorry. It's been wild. Do I have any desire to tell you why it's been wild? Sure. We'll get to it, I think. Oh man. Let me get rid of all this. I spent time in Detroit, Michigan, probably about between 8 and 10 years. I don't exactly know the exact amount of time. It doesn't matter as far as the length of time, but it does matter in the sense that whenever, I would come home to St. Louis. I grew up in St. Louis. I was born in St. Louis. My family's in St. Louis. Whenever I would want to come home for the holidays, for Thanksgiving and Christmas, I had to use either the roads, which was about a 10-hour drive, I believe, or flying. Flying after 9/11 has not been fun for me. Sometimes the rates are okay, but domestic flights, the quality of them have gone down since I started on this planet. Absolutely have gone down. The quality of the flight has been terrible, and just keeps getting worse. It's to the point now where if I'm going to fly anywhere, it's kind of like maybe I'll get there that day. I mean, you would never, I don't think anyone would ever schedule a domestic flight in the United States in 2022, like with maybe 2 hours before they have to get to their meeting or whatever reason they have to be at their next destination. I just don't think that anyone would do that because for some reason it's broken. Just like everything else, it seems to be a little broken. And of course, it's nobody's fault, right? There's no one to hold accountable. It's just broken. And so during the holidays, it's hard to travel. People are trying to get home. People that wouldn't normally be flying are flying, and they are not interested in how, like for instance, business class flyers fly a different way than people going on vacation. I mean, that's just the way it is. But you're all on the same plane, and so it's quite a diverse group of people. Now, add to that all the security measures, all the stuff that we've dealt with in the past 2-3 years for your health. And it's just made the experience that much worse. Now, I have a great amount of respect for pilots, for I don't know what they're called. They were called stewardesses when I was a kid, but I don't know what they are now, and I'm apologizing uh, ahead of time. Um, I would think steward, but I don't know. Again, it's no big deal. I don't think. Um, but I mean, I have all the respect for the bag people, even though every time I fly, one of my bags is always broken. One of my hard suitcases is always cracked in half. Um, I don't begrudge any of those people. I think that I think they go to work and do their job in stressful situations. Some people don't like to fly. Some people, like, we don't all have the same values. And what we've been doing lately is if we did have values that were shared, we invite groups to destroy them. So, like, we just can't have nice things because we're constantly. Uh, it's just bad. It's just bad. So anyway, the first thing I wanted to talk about today was this Southwest thing, and we're going to go into it a pretty deep dive because um, I think it just kind of shows what what is going on in our society. It's a very fascinating thing. Let's get to the article. Let me share it with you. Let me see if I've got it right. I do. Here. It was on Google Trends, just so you know, if you're asking like why would you pull this up? I think I can offer things. Okay. So the headline has been changed. It used to be, Southwest Airlines, was in trouble and they got issues. This new headline says Buttigieg warns Southwest CEO he will hold airline accountable after meltdown. Um, you know, uh, uh, Endless platitudes from this administration, as in all. He's not going to do anything. He's too busy. Um, with other responsibilities. It says Southwest Airlines operational meltdown has put the Dallas headquartered company under serious scrutiny, not only from stranded passengers and media reports, but from U.S. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg as well. Now, look, what is he supposed to do exactly? What is he supposed to do? He has a cabinet level position. What is he going to do? Is he going to say, oh, I think it's fine? Okay. Oh, I think it's great that people are stranded in different places due to weather and all kinds of other unforeseen circumstances. I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying, what is he supposed to say? Is he supposed to say it's okay? And it's easy. It's easy to go say, "Hey, you guys suck. You're doing a terrible job. I'm gonna bring down the full federal government on you." Now, look, if you want to get into it and look and see what the federal government, the FAA, and all these people have done with the domestic airlines over the past 10 years, um, maybe that's something you should pay attention to. But anyway, it says he spoke directly to Southwest CEO Bob Jordan on Tuesday about the thousands of flights that have been canceled this week with no immediate indication of when passengers can rebook. Okay, so what, now no offense, what is Pete Buttigieg known for? Not that. What has he done? Like, what does he know about transportation? It's the same argument one would say about Ben Carson, who I have tremendous amount of respect for. But what did he do with housing? Like when he became the HUD secretary? These jobs to me are kind of like jobs that are given for your political cronies that helped you win the election. Like this is like the ambassador to Sweden type position. Now that's what it's become. So I don't particularly care. Like if the transportation secretary called me tomorrow, I wouldn't care. I mean, really. And this guy, the Southwest CEO, is in such a bad spot right now. The fact that he had time to talk to the transportation secretary, maybe that's why the company's not doing so well. It says their system really has completely melted down. It's true. I believe that. I made clear that our department will be holding them accountable for their responsibilities to customers, both to get them through this situation and to make sure this can't happen again. This happens literally every year. The quality of flights did you see Spirit Airlines like what, a year ago or two? The quality of flight, domestic flight in the United States is absolutely an abomination. It's disgusting. The planes are dirty. It's a terrible time. Uh, I mean, just awful. And the economics, I mean, on CNBC back when they were like somewhat responsible, and they did a study on, I think it was American Airlines, and it talked about like, look, if they don't fly full, they don't make money. Like they don't make money. And so they have to have routes that balance. I mean, they have to have good routes that balance out the bad routes. And I mean, it's not as easy as one would think. Okay. But as far as um you're gonna hold them account, like look, if you had to get to work and you're stuck somewhere, it's ruined. It's over. There's nothing you're gonna do. It's a bad situation. So I mean, great. The government's gonna pay more attention. You know, okay. Oh, okay. I mean, there's only so many airlines. Passengers booked with beleaguered Southwest Airlines have been hoping for some needed relief on cancellations and delays, but those hopes so far are being dashed. Well, like I would like the new Corvette. Like I really would. It looks awesome. Okay. It's an American car. It's just great. Okay. But I mean, I'm hoping for it, but I'm not going to get it. I'm not going to get it. It says of the more than 2,600 cancellations already made for Wednesday, nearly all of them belong to Southwest. And so what you might say is, look, John, how is it that other airlines are able to function and Southwest is the only one that can't function? Because it hits different airlines at different times. Okay. This is terrible. I mean, you're in it now, but it's also terrible if you tried to drive through the winter storm the other week. It's terrible. Buffalo, New York, terrible situation. There's a lot of bad. It says all other U.S. airlines together account for just roughly 140 of those cancellations. I want to try something. Let me look it up. Mm, okay. Okay. Good. That's what I thought. Okay. So it says all other U.S. airlines together account for just 140 of those cancellations. Look, anyone that gets their flight canceled, anyone that gets their flight delayed, it sucks. It sucks. What if you miss the next leg of your travel? It sucks. It says the latest flight cancellation and delay figures. It says a look at the current numbers show why Buttigieg is so concerned. Again, I mean, he's concerned about highways. He's concerned about shipping. He's concerned about a lot of things. I don't know why it matters that he's concerned. What is he? If he wasn't concerned, I think there'd be a problem. It says about 3,260 flights within, into, or out of the United States have already been canceled for Tuesday as of 8:30 at night, according to flight tracking website FlightAware. Of those canceled flights, about some 2,675 were those of Southwest. That's almost 2/3 of all Southwest flights for Tuesday, and a stunning 85% of all flights in the United States. All right. It says by contrast, competitors American Airlines had 10% of its flight canceled, and United Airlines only had 3%. Okay. It says airports most affected by the Tuesday cancellations are Denver International, followed by Harry Reid International Airport in Las Vegas. Now, I mean, there you go. I mean, that's all you need to know. Chicago Midway, Baltimore Washington International, Nashville International, and Dallas Love Field. Now, I'm just asking, um, what other uh, airports are named after a senator? There are more than 6,400 delays as of 8:30 p.m. I think you're going to see a lot of things. Richard Shelby in Alabama. I think you're going to see a lot of things that are named for him, but I don't think he got the airport. It says there were more than 6,400 delays as of 8:30 p.m. Tuesday. 6,400 delays. 3,260 flights delayed. Today's cancellations followed a full day of post-Christmas travel chaos with 3,989 flights canceled on Monday, 2,900, let's just say, of those being Southwest flights. So you've got 1,000 other flights being screwed up in the United States, and now it's just a situation where it's like all those other airlines get a pass because Southwest is doing such a terrible job. Now this hurts me, and we'll go over that later. It says Buttigieg takes Southwest to task. It says Southwest has blamed the travel disaster on a combination of factors, including winter storm delays, aggressive flight scheduling, and outdated infrastructure. From what I can tell, Southwest is unable to locate even where their own crews are, let alone passengers, let alone baggage, said Buttigieg, adding that he also spoke with leaders of the airlines unions representing flight attendants and pilots. Like, what's that going to do? Do you think those people that are union pilots and flight attendants are like, oh, hey, I really, really want this situation to happen. I'm really excited about getting on the plane and getting yelled at by passengers. I mean, seriously. It says the secretary, and by the way, why is this article about Pete Buttigieg and not about the people that are being stranded? Said he told Jordan that he expects Southwest to proactively offer refunds and expense reimbursement to affected passengers without having them to ask. Without them having to ask. Well, I think that's fair. I conveyed to the CEO our expectation that they go above and beyond and take care of passengers and to address this. I mean, okay. It says Buttigieg told CNN the Department of Transportation is prepared to pursue fines against Southwest if there is evidence that the company has failed to meet its legal obligations. But he added that the department will be taking a closer look at consistent customer service problems at the airline. I'm not aware of Southwest having any more issues with customer service than any other company. I'll just say this out loud. I flew Lufthansa to Bosnia. Well, I flew to Ljubljana, Slovenia. I've not gotten my miles and more. I've not gotten that taken care of. 6 months it's been. I'm going to lose the miles. The only reason why I flew them was, number one, there was a direct flight from St. Louis because I didn't trust domestic flights to get me to any of the other places. I didn't trust them to get me to Chicago. I didn't trust them to get me to Atlanta. I didn't expect them to get me to Detroit, New Jersey. None of those places did I expect a domestic airline to be able to get me to on time to fly over across the country, across the world. I didn't. That was what, October? I mean, we're watching this stuff happen, and you say, well, the secretary's on it. It's not his job. No offense. No offense. Where's the loss? I mean, where is the loss? Where does it happen? Like, if an airline just screws you over as a traveler, like, what do they suffer? They don't suffer anything. There's no skin in the game for these companies anymore. It says, while all the other parts of the aviation system have been moving forward toward recovery and getting better each day, it's actually been moving the opposite direction with this airline. Now, see, how do you say that? How do you know? You've got a company here that's got a lot of cleaning up to do. He said, look, let's start with this. Okay. Let's start. I couldn't have been more than 12 years old. My aunt got tickets on Southwest for me to fly to Oklahoma. Okay. And it was an odd experience, but a fun experience. You had these plastic seat vouchers. The security for the airport was nothing. You flew in the East Terminal in St. Louis, Missouri. The East Terminal was, there was nobody in it. We have two terminals. We have the East Terminal, and I think now it's Terminal 1 and Terminal 2. But you could fly in, literally get right on the plane, fly out. The service was wonderful. The people working there were wonderful. If you look in the mid-90s, I'm sure you will find Southwest Airlines business, like for your MBA or something, people talking about who Southwest Airlines would hire. They were the envy of all airline passengers and airline traffic. They were wonderful. Now, that was with this guy, Gary Keller, I think it's Gary Keller, Herb Keller. Okay. He's dead. Okay. And this company has veered off so far from from the ideal flight company, they started acquiring airlines. I mean, it's just, what the hell? Like, I don't even know who this CEO is. I've never heard of him. I don't know if this is the same guy they had a while back that was a terrible CEO. But I do know this. They're a public company. They're a public company, and they exist for the benefits of their shareholders, and they do not exist any longer for the benefit of their clients, their customers. This is true throughout corporate America. The people that are on the boards want them to cut, and never, ever, ever invest in infrastructure. Never, ever, ever. So these people aren't even allowed. Like, if you're CEO, you're cutting expenses, always cutting expenses, never, ever, ever adding expenses, like, figuring out a way to get all of your back end operations to actually work. They're probably using stuff from 1987. I wouldn't be surprised if basically an Apple iPhone is stronger than the entire mainframe that they're using for their scheduling. It says, Jordan apologized to passengers and employees in a video statement released by the company on Tuesday evening. We're doing everything we can to return to a normal operation, and please also hear that I'm truly sorry, he said. He is sorry. I have no doubt. I mean, he's not stuck somewhere, but he's sorry for the people that are. It says, while Jordan acknowledged problems with the company response, which I don't know, what are they going to do? Like, what were they going to do? What was their response going to be? They were going to bring in more pilots? Can't do that. It said the statement suggested that he did not foresee massive changes to Southwest procedures in response to the mass cancellation. Why would they? Why would you change your response? Okay. Like, it's not obvious. The tools we use to recover from disruption serve us well 99% of the time, but clearly we need to double down on our already existing plans to upgrade systems for these extreme circumstances so that we never again face what's happening right now, said Jordan. So we're optimistic to be back on track before next week. Well, that's pretty unacceptable. It's pretty unacceptable. I mean, why is it that it's going to take you a week to get your stuff together? I mean, and then as far as the tools we use to recover from disruption service well 99% of the time, have you seen in the last, 5 years, an on-time survey for many of the airlines? Like, do you know who's even number one? Do you even know how they would qualify that? Is that a fake number that somebody, designed in marketing, 15 years ago, and it's just kind of gone away because they're all so terrible? Like, this is one of those things, I've been talking about. I don't feel like things are getting better. I don't feel like my life is getting better. In the time I've lived it, I don't think my life is getting better. This is another indication that things are not better than they were when I was born. Airline flights when I was younger were better than they are now. And how can that be? We didn't have phones, okay? We barely had printers. I mean, the idea of printing off your ticket was just such a revolutionary idea. I mean, we had they would send you the hard copies of the ticket. It's just amazing. It's just amazing. So it says, what can Southwest passengers do? Nothing. You're screwed. You're not going to have a good situation. Like that here, that's what you should do. Stop assuming that things are going to go well. Okay, because they're not. It's a terrible situation. So Southwest has warned that this week's cancellations and delays are expected to continue for several more days. Now, why do people fly Southwest? Do they fly Southwest because they like delays? No. Do they care? No, they just want to get to their place. They're literally looking for the cheapest airline possible to get them where they can go and they want to go. It doesn't matter if it's American Airlines, United Airlines. There is no one even close to brand specific for domestic flights in the United States. There's no way. Again, I told you my rationale for using Lufthansa. Okay. The reason I used Lufthansa was I wanted the miles because I was flying 2,000 miles across the globe. I thought that would be good. And now I can't even get the miles. And they're out of Germany. Okay. So, and by the way, I've emailed, I've called, I've done everything they've asked. I get nothing. I get nothing. And it's not in my spam. I check my spam. Okay. They literally don't have their stuff together. Okay. It says, so where does that leave customers who are in a real jam? What should they do? Well, that's interesting. Let's see what they say. First things first, travelers who are still stuck waiting on Southwest and need to get somewhere should try to book a flight with another airline as soon as possible. Right now, really, said Kyle Potter, executive editor at the travel advice website Thrifty Travel, in an email to CN and Travel late Tuesday afternoon. Look, tell me, like, when I do take this flight from, first of all, there was 1,000 other flights canceled today. You're going to tell me that I'm going to be able to call someone. I'm going to be able to call someone and find a flight out of the airport I'm already stuck at, knowing full well that Southwest flies out mainly out of like they fly out of Midway, kind of B terminals. Maybe they've gotten better. I haven't looked at their entire places they fly anymore, but it used to be they'd be at like some off airport, never exactly get to the main one. It says airline now, so he says you need to get somewhere and should try to book a flight with another airline as soon as possible. Right now, really. And then he says every airline in the country is jam-packed right now, so your odds of even finding a seat, let alone an even halfway decent price, gets smaller by the hour. Travelers in the thick of this should be sure to save all of their receipts, other flights, a rental car, nights at the hotel, meals, anything. So now it's like, okay, we're going to spend all of our money. Like, we're going to live it up. Like, we're going to rent a car. We're going to drive across the United States. We're going to eat at steakhouses, and we're going to bill Southwest for that. Okay. Look, no offense. How's that going to fix Southwest? You're going to punish them? It's just ridiculous. It's as ridiculous as Pete Buttigieg saying that he's going to do something. What is he going to do? Literally. Says if you've been left in the lurch and your efforts to reach a customer service agent are going nowhere, the founder of Scott's Cheap's Flight suggests trying an international number. Oh. The main hotline for the U.S. airlines will be clogged with other passengers getting rebooked. To get through to an agent quickly, call any one of the airline's dozens of international offices. Agents can handle your reservation just like U.S.-based ones can, but there's virtually no way to get through. Let me get this straight. Domestic airline, Southwest. I can't call. I got a problem. This is where customer service fell off a cliff, and it's intentional. I got to call Southwest. Okay. I need them, but they're not going to be able to answer the phone. So now I'm screwed. I mean, what am I doing? So I'm calling an international number so that they can get through and do what for me? It's so bad. And I'll invoke this. I remember 9/11. They shut down the airlines for God knows how long. I don't remember again the specifics. I was like in my 20s. And I know people that rented cars or even outright bought cars and drove them across the United States to get to where they needed to go. Now, we all understood at the time that, like, hey, this is an extraordinary situation, but, extraordinary times call for extraordinary measures. It says multiplying problems. Southwest was hit particularly hard because of a cascade of issues. Oh, okay. I mean, I'm okay with that. The storm slammed two of its biggest hubs, Chicago and Denver, at a time when winter ailments were stretching staff rosters. Southwest's aggressive schedule and underinvestment have also been blamed. I will say this. Who is controlling the investment at Southwest? It's the shareholders. It's the activist board members. Why you're on an airline board, I have no idea. If Warren Buffett couldn't make money on the domestic airlines like United, how are you going to do that? I don't know. Carl Icahn tried to run TWA. It was a terrible disaster. He's not an idiot. He's still around. It says the winter storm that swept across the country was ill-timed for travelers who had started pushing Christmas week flying numbers back toward pre-pandemic. I don't want to hear about the pandemic. I don't want to hear any excuses about the pandemic in anything at all. I don't want to hear about it. This was not the pandemic's problem. This was people don't know how to run things, not running things. On Christmas Day, 3,178 flights were canceled and 6,870 were delayed, according to FlightAware. 6,870 flights in the United States in one single day were delayed. Okay. And do you think that's acceptable? Whether it's Southwest or any other airline, do you think that's acceptable? And what do you do about it? Oh, well, I'm never going to fly Southwest again. Okay. Well, what are you going to fly? Are they going to be delayed? Then you can't use that measure. Unfortunately, you can't use that measure to be the determining factor for what airline you choose. Friday was the worst day of this streak with 5,934 cancellations, while Thursday saw almost 2,700 cancellations. Look, you want to get home to see your family, okay? You are probably flying for two reasons. One, it's cheaper. Two, you expect them to take care of that problem. I mean, they do this every day, right? You don't drive across the country every day unless you're a truck driver. Okay. So these people should be able to handle this. This is their job. This is what they do. This is how they make money. They get people from A to B, right? At the Southwest ticket counter in Hartsfield Jackson Atlanta Airport on Tuesday morning, long lines were already building up as travelers waited to try to rebook flights or make connections. And at Chicago Midway's International, a huge buildup of unclaimed babs piled up as the passengers struggled to reclaim their luggage. There were similar scenes at other airports, including Harry Reid in Las Vegas and William P. Hobby Airport in Houston. Now, I'm going to go to a different screen. I'm going to ask, who is William Hobby? Is he a senator? I'm also going to spell it right. William P. Hobby was the governor of the state of Texas. Okay. I suppose that's who's being um, remembered at their airport. So the governor gets their name on one, I guess. Again, I could be wrong. It's just the internet. It says passenger Trisha Jones told CNN at the airport in Atlanta that she and her partner had been traveling for 5 days, trying to get home to Wichita, Kansas, after disembarking from a cruise at Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It's taken her 5 days to get to Wichita from Fort Lauderdale. Now, look, I don't know that this makes any sense. It says after her flight was canceled, she stayed with relatives, then rerouted to Atlanta to pick up a connecting flight. We're fortunate because we were in Fort Lauderdale. My family lives in the Tampa Bay area. So we're able to rent a car to go see my family for Christmas. We've seen a lot of families who are sleeping on the floor. It just breaks my heart. Yes, I am a germaphobe. The idea of sleeping or sitting on an airport floor makes me want to vomit. And when I see other people do it, I also want to vomit. I just don't understand. Like, it's gross. It's gross. It's gross. I don't want to take off my shoes for the same reason. When I walk through the security line, it's just like, this is gross. This is disgusting. This is absolutely nuts. But they don't ask me. They don't ask me. Now, I don't know how it took her 5 days to get from Florida to Wichita, Kansas. I don't understand. It looks like she just stayed with her friends or family in Fort Lauderdale. I just don't feel like this was the right story for this article. It says Southwest, keep your receipts. Oh, okay. A spokesman for Southwest Airlines said the recent winter storm is to blame for the cascade of cancellations. As the storm continued to sweep across the country, it continued to impact many of our larger stations. And so the cancellations just complied one after other, or compiled to 100 to 150 to 1,000. Jay McVeigh said in a news conference at Houston's William T. Hobby Airport on Monday night. With those cancellations, and as a result, we end up with flight crews and airplanes that are out of place and not in the cities that they need to be to continue to run our operations. True. Totally true. Totally acceptable. Like, I totally buy that as what happened. It says McVeigh said the company's first priority right now is safety. We want to make sure we operate these flights safely and that we have the flight crews that have legal and sufficient time to operate these flights. Now, look, I don't I don't think it has to be safety, and here's why. Pilots can only fly so long. They can only do so many hours, and then they're out, and they're not allowed to fly anymore. Okay, they're not allowed to go over hours. Flight attendants aren't allowed to go over hours. So there's no like, oh, we're gonna fly extra flights and get this taken care of. No, this is a highly regulated industry, probably one of the most regulated industries in the United States. Okay, so I don't want to hear about how safety is your first priority. I mean, obviously, okay. Your first priority should be getting people to where they're supposed to be going, okay? And apologizing profusely, daily, daily. I'm so sorry this happened. Like, we will do everything we can or we need to do to right the challenges we've had right now, including hotels, ride assistance, vans, rental cars, to try and make sure these folks get home as quickly as possible. Okay. Like, what's wrong with that statement? I don't have anything wrong with it. Do you? I mean, okay, again, you should. It says he promised that all customers, even those who had already left the airport or made alternative arrangements on their own, would also be taken care of. Now, if you've already left, take care of yourself. Do what you need to do to your family, for your family. Keep your receipts. We'll make sure they're taken care of. That is not a question. I'm just looking at the stock today. Okay, it's down 5%. Okay, it's down 5%. Uh, Last year at this time, or November 28th. Okay, well, oh, that's a month. Here, let's do 6 months. October of 2022, it was $30.84. Today, it's $33.94. I mean, as far as the day being terrible, I mean, it's not great. It's not great, but I mean, it's not like no, no one's worried about them. They're fine. Let's go. It says, what's wrong from a pilot's point of view? Okay. Speaking to CNN on Tuesday, the vice president of the Southwest Airlines Pilot Association, Captain Mike Santaro, said the problems facing Southwest were the worst disruptions he'd experienced in 16 years at the airlines. He described last week's storm as a catalyst that helped trigger major technical issues. What went wrong is that our IT infrastructure for scheduling software is vastly outdated, he said. It can't handle the number of pilots, flight attendants that we have in the system, or with our complex route network. We don't have the normal hub the other major airlines do. We do fly a point to point network, which can put our crews in the wrong places without airplanes. He added, it's frustrating for the pilots, the flight attendants, and especially our passengers. We are tired of apologizing for Southwest. The pilots in the airline, our hearts go out to all the passengers. They really do. I agree with that. I agree with that. I have no problem with the pilots union saying, look, they don't invest in their stuff. Now, Southwest, the crony capitalists in Southwest would say, well, we're so busy spending money on your salaries, we don't have any money left over for infrastructure. Hey, you're a public company. Tell me why you don't have enough money. Tell me what's going on. What does this mean? I really don't have any sympathy for anyone in this situation in the management of Southwest. I mean, your only job is to make sure that this can be done. I mean, the busiest time of the year, and you can't figure out how to work it. I mean, this is like the rolling blackouts. We didn't have rolling blackouts in the 70s, and yet we do in 2022. What the hell's wrong with those people? In other developments, it says in heart. Well, I'm not gonna. I don't know. I don't care about it. Look, Buffalo, New York. It's not good. And Greyhound, which hasn't been good for my entire life, isn't doing well in the Northeast. There you go. So again, let me go over a few points. One, I don't care about Buttigieg saying anything. He's gone after this administration is gone, whether that be 4 years or 8 years. Then he'll get a job somewhere else because he's a crony guy, and they're all cronies. So I don't really care about him at all, not even a little bit, other than to talk about him and say I don't care about him. The airline's not going to be held accountable. The people that are involved in this aren't going to be fired. Even if they step down, they've got a golden parachute and they'll be fine. Okay. Uh, we can be sad that this happened to people. Okay. I don't think people booked on Southwest saying, "Oh man, they're really going to screw this up." Like that doesn't seem like a reason to book with them. And we can ask ourselves, are the policies that are being written both by the government and by the private companies in this space, highly regulated, are these causing more problems now than they did 20 years ago? And why is that? And what can we do to stop this from happening? Not happening again, but the quality of the airline, again, the quality of the flights suck across the board. Why? Is it the regulations? Is it because people don't care? I care. I hate bad flights. When I see video of passengers fighting on an airline, it makes me sick to my stomach. Okay, it's just the reason why they're fighting is because they're in a very stressful situation. They're being treated like lab rats in a freaking aluminum container, and then you're surprised when people snap. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. Are the airlines going to get fixed in my lifetime? No, no. Why? Because we've the people that are growing up now have come to accept that this is the quality of the service they can expect to receive. They have never known a time when the airlines didn't suck. I screwed something up. I need to do something real quick. So that's what I think about Southwest. My heart breaks for Southwest. They were innovators. They deserved their success, and then they blew it. They blew it a couple different ways. They wanted me to advocate for them to be able to fly a different way from Love Field in Dallas. That I didn't like the way they did it. And then man, I'm a little bit behind here. And then there was one CEO that I don't think I really. Oh, they changed the rewards and stuff to where you had to. I don't know. I wasn't getting my rewards. Didn't like that. Um, I don't know. Like, would I fly Southwest right now? I don't care. Domestically, sure. Because what are you going to find better and cheaper? And would you trust it? I don't know how many of you remember there was this company. I don't even remember where they were from, but it was like it was the start of the discount jets, the discount airfare airline. And they were flying like these air containers, and one of them blew up and killed a bunch of people in Florida. That wasn't cool. It wasn't good. I remember that. And I've always been kind of suspect of the discount, but I always felt good flying Southwest. Now their pricing structure is different now. It's sad. I mean, like I try to look at like what is better, and you say, well, we have phones, John. They can do all these wild and wacky things, but yeah, but look at what's going on with the phones. Like your kids are literally their eyes are stapled to their phone all day, looking at things that are very unhealthy. You have teenage girls that see all these models and stuff on Instagram all day long, and all they want to do. And then the Instagram models are saying what their diets are, and these kids are like, "Well, if anybody's going to like me, self-esteem issues, all that stuff, terrible, terrible." Online mobs of people. I'm just, I'm just so disappointed. Um, man, I like uh, not to be too religious, the idea you put your faith in God and not man. How many times have you been disappointed by someone or some organization or some group? Like, I've always wanted to point out to my kids, like, hey, this is a great organization. Like, they do good, or they are good. They're good. Like the things they carry themselves. Vince Lombardi wanted to win, and that was good. Vince Lombardi is not someone that anyone talks about now. Um, were there companies that you could look up to back in the day? See, it's the well has been so poisoned. You could have looked up to Southwest in the mid '90s, Southwest Airlines. They were an amazing organization. Anybody else? You could say like soda companies, but man, that soda is pretty bad for you. So that's not really that great. Cereal companies, not great. Um, like Apple. Do you really think Apple is the same company that it was with the 1984 Orwell commercial? They are literally a parody of themselves. They are the group that is enforcing all of this stuff. And don't blame what the guy that's running it now. It started under Steve Jobs. It was Tim Cook. It started under Jobs. He saw the writing on the wall. The minute that you knew they were in trouble is when they had all this money that they had offshored, or they never reshored the money for tax loopholes, and they got hauled in front of. They had $0 for lobbying, and then the next year I think they were like number one or number two. So I don't want to hear about Apple. But anyway, you try to athletes, you try to point to your kids out, you try to point someone out that's like good, and like you want them to embody those characteristics. And who is that these days? Like literally, who is that? Who do you tell your kids like, hey, that guy or that gal, she's or he's just on point. You should look up to that guy or that girl. They do it the right way. It's just not possible. There's nobody. There's nobody. It's just bizarre. We can't look up to anybody or anything because they so disappoint us. I hope I'm not coming with too much fire back from a Christmas break. We're at Deerwood Realty. We're moving on. Interest rates are important. What are interest rates doing today? Interest rates are up 18 basis points to 6.5%. They've been falling last week. We were down to like 6.27. I was like, man, we get to that 5.5%, that magic number for me, and we're in golden shape. We might have the soft landing. We might have a good situation. I don't think we are. In fact, I have no confidence. Let's continue. Darth Powell. Oh, no, I got to do this right. No. Let's go here. I want to change this over to here. Mark Zandi should be first. Okay. So this is Mark Zandi, chief economist at economics.ma, host of Inside Economics podcast. I don't know where he was, but anyway, he's always been not with me. Like I don't remember his. So I always couch that by saying like we don't agree. So he says, I'm confused by the overwhelming consensus among economists that the recession is all but inevitable. This view invariably rests in part on the yield curve inversion. Fair enough, it is a prescient recession predictor, but so too is the stock market, and it's not signaling recession. So he's saying because the market isn't totally blown off, okay, that things are fine. Now I don't want to be putting words into his mouth, but first of all, in housing, he was like, oh, things are going to be fine. Just great. And then he was like, oh, I didn't expect that to happen. I didn't expect rates to go up. I don't trust anything he says because of the housing thing. And I was in it. And I know what's going on. And he's not. But we can continue. It says, yes, stock prices have fallen by about 20% from their all-time peak a year ago, but this is entirely due to the surge in interest rates. Investors have yet to discount a decline in corporate profits. This is very different from every other bear market preceding past recessions. Look, my argument is we haven't seen unemployment numbers crash. Wait until we do. We have seen savings crash. We have seen credit card debt accelerate. As a refresher, stock prices equal the discounted value of expected profit growth. That's nice for textbooks. Stock prices fall if the discount rate rises and or investors anticipate a tough economy and weaker profits. Rates are up a lot over the past year, but investors' profit expectations have held up because they're dumb. They're dumb. It's going to happen and it's going to be bad. Compare this to past recessions, in which the average decline in stock prices is more than 30%, and the decline was all due to weaker profit expectations as long-term rates barely budged. Stocks also typically peak only a few months prior to recessions and none more than a year. This is to say, don't be a slave to the inverted yield curve and conclude a recession is dead ahead. Its recession signal may be muddled, and while it isn't straightforward to interpret the recession signal from the stock market, it appears to be saying something very different. Markets skate to where the puck is about to be. Traders skate to where the puck is. Economists skate to where the puck used to be. The best investors skate to where the puck will eventually end up. This man writes, head to the bullpen to warm up. Powell is orchestrating a recession. He gets the hook within the next 18 to 20 months. Trump would not have nominated him if he didn't have Powell by the short hairs. Renominated by JB as fall guy if economy is bad in fall of 24 and polls are bad. I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. This guy writes, I believe the performance of the stock market is entirely due to the excess liquidity still in the system. Ding, ding, ding. Here we go. Like, it's not just me. I don't think it rests much on inverted yield curve. Excess savings are being spent away and credit card debt has exploded. This can't last. There you go. 100%. There you go. And then this guy, no recession, Boeing cleared to deliver stockpiled 737s and weapon restocking by the U.S. will help float GDP growth through this rough patch. That's what he said. All right. Now I got to go to Darth Powell. Now look, I'm trying to do the right thing with the Twitter. Like I don't want to. Here, I'm liking his tweet. I'm liking his. Okay. When someone that I follow replies to someone I also follow, if I try to go to the person that originally wrote the tweet and credit them in the link, it doesn't go to the person that I wanted to pull up on the reply. That only happens if I go to the reply and use that link. And so that's what I'm doing. It's not, I hope it's not, I hope it's not wrong. I hope my internet courtesy isn't wrong. 1966 to 1982, Dow Industrials unchanged. You just clip the dividends. And right now, markets like Spain unchanged from 1998 to 2022, just dividends. How could this happen in the S&P 500? He's got a little chart. He says it'll crash so hard and fierce they'll go right back to what doesn't work. There's no soft landing as far as asset prices go. Jobs, maybe. I'm of this opinion. I mean, when you start talking about jobs getting cut, and that's where the Fed has to go, yeesh, they're in a terrible spot. I mean, the spending in Washington is just out of control. And please, like during Trump, it was the same. And when have we had any sort of fiscal conservatism ever in my lifetime. I mean, it's really, really bad. So I don't see how you can argue that fiscal restraint by the government is going to. I mean, I think Clinton said there were going to be a balanced budget. I think, and don't get mad at me if I'm totally wrong. I didn't pay much. I mean, I was in the mid '90s. I was in college. We were lobbing bombs at Iraq every once in a while. Ugh, it just seems like it's a terrible situation coming. But I mean, who am I, right? I'm just a guy. I'm just a real estate agent in St. Louis, Missouri. This guy here, what I like is I want to talk about this as a real estate agent. It says, why you should be an investor, not an investor over an agent. I just sold a fourplex to a client who will net 80,000 in 1 year by implementing better management and flipping it. I will net 10,000 in commissions off of representing him on the buy side and sell side. I was previously an investor and now I'm a real estate agent. Why? Because I believe that you should be like I can't imagine, like, if you're a real estate investor, what are you doing investing at like 8% rates? What's the point? I mean, there's a time to invest, and the time to invest for me is not right now. Now, I have a investor friend who'd say I'd buy every house I possibly could right now. Why? Because I'll refinance down the road and everything will be fine. I had a friend today call me. He says, "What is this going to rent for? Because I'm going to I'm going to rent this house out. I'm going to buy another one. I'm going to have like 5 houses, and that's going to be my retirement." Like, okay, good luck with that. Good luck with that. I disagree. Okay, I disagree. I think you should be an agent, but this is me. I'm an agent. Am I biased? No, I tell you, I'm biased on the agent side, yeah, but I'm not biased against investment. Go for it. I have a degree in real estate and construction management from the University of Denver. It's not like I don't want to invest in real estate. It's just there's times to invest in real estate and then there's times to not invest in real estate, given my lifetime. Housing bubble disrespect. No, I don't. Let me see. Okay. This I wanted to go over as well. Man, just think of this. I was gonna not go the full time tonight, and I'm literally going longer than I ever go. You saw it. You saw the beginning of the show. By the way, let me stop for just a moment. A couple things. One, let me screw it up. I'll forget to go back. Let me do 2 things. One, whoever was the 130th subscriber, thank you. It means something to me. I don't know why. Like, I don't know why it means so much, but it really does. Um, I I'm I don't want to fail at this YouTube. I do want to have a live stream where people are on and we have a good time. Okay. Because there's so much bullshit in housing. There's so much bullshit in real estate, and we can fix that. We can fix it in our section, in our little community. It's not going to ever get fixed. It's not the way the business works. So anyway, I want to say thank you. Okay. Thank you for that. And then I just want to check because and then I don't understand I don't understand the algorithm. Okay. The last show I did we talked about, it was like Wednesday. More people watched the Wednesday show on the replay than the show before it, the day before, by a ton. And I don't know why. Like, there was nothing different about it. It didn't have a different headline. It wasn't, there was nothing different about it. And so I just want to say thank you for those who are finding my stream. Thank you for subscribing, and let's keep this up. Let's get to monetization, not because, I'm going to make bank, because I'm not making bank. That's not the point. The point is like, it's achieving something. So anyway, let's go back. I just wanted to put that out there. Again, thank you. Thank you very much. And I just appreciate it. Oh, I don't like that. I do like that. Always have. This was interesting to me because it's a 988 square foot house. We don't know how much it's valued, but we have to open it up. Okay, so here's the picture. The guy's got a truck. It's not a very big house. 2 bedrooms, 1 bath. For sale by owner. He's got a Corvette in the lot. Okay. It says realtors. This is the entirety of my listing being active. This statement below has been included clearly in the property description, and yet I still receive 20 to 30 phone calls each and every week from agents as far away as New York asking, "Are you looking to hire an agent? And are you offering a commission?" When I ask, "Did you even bother to read the property details?" I almost always get the same response: "I must have missed it." Then I hang up on them. So don't be that realtor. Have a cash buyer ready to sign a PNS. I don't know what that is. Or don't waste your time or mine. Realtors, if you have a client that is interested in purchasing, I'm willing to offer a flat 10,000 commission for a full price offer within a 30-day close. If you do not have a specific buyer ready to write up a PNS, I guess purchase and sale, but I don't know. I repeat, do not contact me asking me if I consider listing with an agent promising the world, yada, yada, yada. I have zero interest in hearing the same old empty promises and BS. Now, let's be honest. Real estate agents are trained all the time to call FSBOs, for sales by owner. So, I mean, but they're not doing anything wrong, and he's not doing anything wrong. If you do list your sale for sale by owner, you should expect to get real estate agents calling you all the time. I call for sale by owners and I ask, "Are you paying a commission?" Because I have to get paperwork signed for me to even take my buyer over there. I work on commission. It's how I feed my family. I'm not ashamed of that. The fact that you don't like that, or the fact that you don't respect what we do, totally good with that. I mean, each their own. Whatever you do, I'm sure is better than what I do, right? So we got that. Now let me see if I could. It says, "Big Boomer Vibes got the new vet and truck in front of the glorified mobile home, FSBO. LOL, location, 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 and the housing market in the Seacoast is still just as hot as ever, with single-family homes estimated to rise 6 to 12% over the next year in Hampton. 181 days on Zillow, 219 views, 3 saves. This is a disaster." And somebody wrote, "Is the ocean in his backyard? Unless their backyard is 1.5 miles long." No. It's funny. It's funny. I have no need for that guy. Here's an interesting question from Lance Lambert. Are falling home prices bad for agents? Home prices falling while affordability remains historically pressurized could see better affordability when I'm assuming rates do end up coming down, i.e. potentially a higher transaction volume. Somebody had wrote, "This is good for everyone except real estate agents." Look, you don't understand real estate agents. They are we're like there's like thousands of different strategies to be a real estate agent and make it. Like you'd want to focus, if you could, you'd want to focus on the luxury market. The problem with the luxury market is everyone's already in the luxury market, right? And then they cut your commission. So it's not as lucrative as you would think. Plus, the people tend to be sometimes assholes. But that's true with regular price and lower price homes. You don't avoid assholes just by dealing with somebody in a lower sale price. Okay. To the contrary, some of the people are terrible. It doesn't matter where they are on the scale. So, as an agent, my job is to help buyers buy homes and sellers sell theirs. It's not really about the number for me. I just want to have lots of transactions. Why? That's how I make my money. I make my money on the number of transactions. I don't care if the market goes up. I don't care if the market goes down. If I can't help buyers buy homes and sellers sell theirs, I can't make money. I can't make money. People get really confused by that. People think that, oh, you want like on the seller side, okay? They think that like first of all, they think that somehow I don't want them to sell their house for as much as they possibly could. Oh, you don't believe me that I could sell like, let's say there's a house worth 250,000, that's what it would sell for. And the seller says, "Oh, you don't believe I can sell my house for 300,000." It's not that I don't believe you, it's just I mean, why do I want to sit there and waste my time trying to sell this house for 300 when it's not going to sell? It's just going to sit on the market, and then when I do sell it for the 250 that I thought I said it would probably sell for, now you're going to be mad because you didn't get what you wanted, and I told you that ahead of time. So you're not going to use me as your agent in the first place. Okay. So there's that. On the buyer side, oh, the agent's just trying to get money from you. Oh, the agent just wants you to be in a transaction. They don't care about you. I care about all my buyers. I have a buyer right now that I'm so upset about the situation. We bought a house as is. We had the municipality inspect the house. We did the repairs for the reinspection. A new inspector from the county, a different inspector comes in and says, "Oh no, you have to fix all these things." Writes up a 3-page report on the same condo that was already inspected by the county, and my buyer can't move in. He's like, "This is unbelievable." And I said, "Well, let me give them a piece of my mind." And he said, "No, don't do that. It's not worth it to fight these people. They're scum. They're gonna coalesce around themselves, and they won't care." I said, "Okay, I won't give him a piece of my mind, but I'd like to." Maybe he'll be watching this and know who he is because he's scum. Anyway, I care about transactions. Any transactions you want? I'll sell $100,000 home. I'll sell $1 million home. I don't care. Really don't. You say, "Well, you have to work harder for." No, I have to work hard for every house I sell. Well, not as hard for some as others. Okay, but it all balances out. I have terrible transactions at times. They're terrible. They're horrible. They make me question why I'm still on this planet. Why am I still in this business? It happens at least once a year. Okay. Anyway, moving on. So no, I don't care about falling home prices. I don't. I don't like rising home prices either. People think, "Oh, well, you're going to sell the house for $5,000 more than asking. Wow, you're going to be doing really, really great." I mean, on a percentage basis, which is my commission, what, $200, $300? What do I care? No offense. You say, "Well, then we can cut your commission more." Don't cut my commission because then I'm not excited about selling the house. It doesn't make any sense. Don't try to cut my commission because then I think you don't want me to be able to feed my family. Is that true? You're not a very nice person then. Why should I feed my family off your hard work? Well, I'm working hard to get your house sold. Oh, you're not working hard as I do. I go and I bust concrete with my hands every day. Well, that's a terrible job. I give you that. Jason Luris, he replied to this tweet. An economist who is paid to represent the outlook for a multiple listing service is predicting the prices will not fall as much as some say. Shocking, absolutely shocking. He writes, "It's important to look for conflicts of interest when it comes to the sources of real estate data. The loudest often have deeply entrenched interests in proliferating the idea that homes are great, I'm guessing, regardless of market conditions, if they are making money off of every transaction. Um, don't just limit that to multiple listing services. Um, let's take a look at something like maybe a Zillow, maybe a Redfin, although they have great research data. I don't have any problem. The National Association of Realtors. The key in this world and in this time, okay, people talk about misinformation. People talk about misinformation, not getting information from approved sources. All that is dangerous. You can never trust the government on anything. Never, ever, ever. You really can't trust a lot of people on anything they say. Watch what they do, not what they say. That's been something that has served me very well throughout my life. I I don't I feel like what I'm trying to do with this show is to show you that I look at different sources of data. Like we're looking at Mark Zandi, we don't believe him, but we're reading what he says. Maybe he's right. Okay. Maybe he's right. I keep an open mind. I don't believe what he's writing is true. But if I never hear it, if I never hear the alternative argument, okay, then I don't feel like I can be informed. How can and that's how I try to bring this show to you. This is what I see. Okay. The show's here's what I see. Okay. And then here's what I think based on what I see after reading what someone else sees. I was supposed to take a Mucinex before the show. I didn't get to it. Now I'm a little bit nervous. That's the end of the tweets tonight. Let's move into the articles. It says, will high inflation and recession fears lead to a drop in remodeling? Now, look, this is realtor.com. Do I believe everything they're going to write about the economy? No. Okay. Do I believe they're intentionally going to mislead you? No. No. But they may. They may intentionally, but I don't think that's their goal. Now, the question, will high inflation and recession fears lead to a drop in remodeling? I don't care. I don't care. I think people remodel all the time. I don't think that the inflation and recession fears. I think product availability will matter. Like lumber prices were ridiculous for a while. I wasn't going to be doing anything on the remodeling side. I'm now redoing my basement. Okay. And I've looked at the prices on some of the things that used to be relatively cheap. PVC pipe, 4-inch. My God. 10-foot section at Lowe's today. Blew my mind. I cannot believe it. During the height of COVID, it seemed like everyone knew someone who had bought a home and then remodeled the kitchen, created a home office or gym, or turned the scraggly like backyard in the outdoor into an outdoor oasis. I did. I got it in my backyard. That's the only thing I felt I could do to get away from all this insanity. But as the pandemic enters its fourth year, are we really still going with this? Most folks are no longer trapped in their homes, obsessing over every flaw. The home buying frenzy that typically spurs remodeling work has died down. Really? And many people are more concerned with high inflation and the looming threat of a recession than their dream en suite bathroom. I mean, this is not my life. This is not what I'm living, but this is what's being written. So, okay. Where does that leave the remodeling industry? In fairly good shape, says most experts. Homeowners are expected to spend even more on remodeling, repairs, and maintenance in 2023 than they did in 2022. Okay, that could be the article right there. And let's continue anyway. It says we are expecting the market to continue to grow, not just nearly as fast as it was the past couple of years, says Abby Willis, senior research associate at the Harvard Joint Center for Housing Studies. Even if we're in a recession in 2023, I wouldn't necessarily expect the renovation market to decline. Yeah, I wouldn't either. In fact, like, let me just make one main point. If you've got a mortgage right now on your house and it's less than 3%, okay, 30-year fixed, do you really care about remodeling your house? Like over you, I'm guessing you're planning on living there for a long time. So why wouldn't you remodel and get use out of something for a long period of time? I mean, if you live in a house 30 years, you're probably going to have to redo the kitchen at least once. I mean, it sucks. I don't wish that on you, but I mean, that's just the way fashion and trends go. Homeowners are projected to spend 448 billion nationally in the first quarter of 2023. That's about a 34% increase from the 334 billion homeowners spent in the first quarter of 2020. The nation's housing stock is aging and older homes are more in need of repairs, maintenance, and upside. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. And despite the turmoil in the economy and financial market, homeowners have high levels of equity they can tap to fund the work. Now, it's not what I've been seeing. These things will continue to prop the remodeling market up. People have savings and equity in their homes, so they're not as dependent on loans. If you've looked at the savings rate, that's not what I'm seeing. Homeowners aren't slowing down their remodeling work, even with the number of home sales dropping dramatically and the increasing worrisome state of the economy, which is 1% canceled their remodeling plans in 2022. We're expecting nearly half of homeowners to renovate in 2023. This might be less than the actual share of renovated in 2022, although it's still significant industry for this, or significant activity for this industry. Now, look, I mean, am I remodeling when I have to tear up my floor for the sewer? I mean, okay, that I'm in the statistics of those who remodeled, but I'm just doing maintenance. I don't have a choice. Many homeowners are holding off on their plans to trade up or down into new homes in the face of high mortgage interest rates and the risk of recession. So They may be more likely to pivot away from non-essential remodels like installing a new kitchen cabinetry or adding a sunroom in favor of replacing a roof or boiler system if they plan on being in the property for longer. Many homeowners are holding off on their plans to trade up or down into new homes in the face of where's the source on that? Where's the source on that? They're just saying, oh, that's true. Many, like what is that, five? Replacement projects like roofing and systems and equipment, the parts of a home we can wear out, need to happen sooner or later. We do have an aging housing stock. Weird, even it says the top system upgrades were electrical, plumbing, heating, and security. Meanwhile, the most popular room renovations were bathrooms and kitchens. Homeowners updating the exterior of their residence were most likely to install new windows, skylights, and doors, paint the outside of their abodes, and improve their porches, balconies, and decks. It's just random. It's just, I don't even, I mean, that didn't help me. It says the remodeling industry is still facing some challenges. Why? It says while homeowners will continue to spend more on remodeling in 2023 than they did in 22, the rate of growth will slow, especially as the number of home sales drops. Emrath anticipates some homeowners will scale back the extent of the cost of their remodels, especially as higher interest rates make loans more expensive. Remodelers were still upbeat in the third quarter this year, although their optimism has waned over the past year, according to the National Association of Home Builders Remodeling Index. That could be at least partly due to the impact of fewer homes sales projected in the year ahead. I mean, we're just not like this article, and I are not like gelling. You know what I'm saying? It says a lot of remodeling does tend to happen around the sale of the home. Sellers spend money fixing their residence and getting them ready to put on the market. The recent buyers tend to spend quite a lot more in the first few years after buying a home. I don't know. Are they related? I feel like if people have money, they'll do whatever they can, and if they don't have money, they won't. What do you think? Put your answers in the chat. Put your answers in the comment section. We're going to go to another article. This is an article. How am I going to set this up? Well, let's do it this way. Okay. I'm just going to go over this with you. Now, we had an art. Now, look, I had a strong showing on YouTube on one of my videos that was about the Freedom Factory, Cletus McFarland's Freedom Factory in Florida. They're trying to develop, I think it was 4,500 homes. They're trying to change the zoning so that they can put more homes closer to the racetrack. Cletus McFarland says, I think it's Garrett Mitchell, I think is his real name. But anyway, he says that, look, if you're going to put these homes here, they're going to hate the track that's right next to it. They're going to make us shut down over time. You're shutting us down. You're shutting down the drag strip and the racetrack. And please don't do that. I'm a businessman. I'm trying to make money. I'm taking chances. I've spent a lot of money on this property so far with the expectation I'll be able to run it and someday make money. And I said at the time on the show that I had was, look, we see this in dirt racing all the time, dirt track racing. You have a wonderful dirt track. All of a sudden, people move around the dirt track. Peevely right now in St. Louis, I-55 Raceway has 60 acres to the south. Yeah, to the south, directly to the south, up for sale. That thing goes up for sale. That thing gets bought by a developer, and they put new homes there. My favorite racetrack, I-55, in Peevely, Missouri, is going to get shut down over time. It won't happen right away. And that's the part that tricks the racing fans. They're like, oh, they got these houses. That's cool. And everything's fine. And then it just sort of constant drumbeat. Now, that is the context through which I want you to see this article. Okay. I have now framed it for you. Okay. Here we go. It says LA Mayor Karen Bass rescinds order to light up Hollywood sign. The directive had been signed by December 11th by her predecessor, Eric Garcetti, on the last day in office. The iconic Hollywood sign. Why is it iconic? I don't know, right? But I see it. It's a symbol of California, okay? The Hollywood sign. When I first read this article, it says, rescinds order to light up the Hollywood sign. What do you mean the Hollywood sign is not lit up? How can this be? Then I got to thinking, I've never seen that thing lit up at night my whole life. I only see it as it is in the desert in this picture. This is the way I see it. It says and then so okay, let's figure out more. So I was reading this. I just want to bring it to you. It says Los Angeles newly installed mayor has rescinded an order to light up the Hollywood sign, and I'm like, oh, she's a terrible person, because she's not lighting up the sign. And then it says her predecessor, Eric Garcetti, had signed the order December 11th, his last day in office, noting that the 100th anniversary of the sign is approaching in 2023. There's perhaps no symbol more significant in the world and in Los Angeles' civic imagination than the Hollywood sign. Adding the centennial of the Hollywood sign approaches in the coming months, it would seem fitting to build on these successful efforts to eliminate our city's most famous landmark. Oh my God. Do you mean to tell me that they have not been lighting the Hollywood sign? Right? I'm angry, right? I'm angry. Why would you do this? Why can't we have this lit? It says Garcetti outlined an 18-month pilot program that would feature new technology that allows the sign to be seen on special occasions at night. That new technology had been tested by the Hollywood Sign Trust, the nonprofit organization that maintains the sign. The sign was originally always lit, okay? But we're going to get into that. But understandably, neighbors and others have worried about the effect of lighting up the sign in their neighborhood. NIMBY, not in my backyard. They care more about their home. I guarantee you, by the way, these people have not lived there as long as the sign's been there. That's the tie-in to the racetrack. Understand, it's the people that move in around this landmark that are the ones that eventually cause it to go away. It says, the tests have demonstrated how new technologies can focus lights and help reduce the impact of lights on wildlife and ambient light on local residents. That is to say, people don't like the sign being lit. They also have decided that animals don't like the sign being lit. It's ridiculous, okay? It's not ridiculous that these people don't like the sign being lit. It's ridiculous that you'd move to a place where there's a sign that's an icon of a city, one of the largest cities in the world, and then you would complain about it. And now you're going to worry, by the way, you're in the largest city in the world and you're going to worry about the wildlife. Meanwhile, there's people in downtown Los Angeles that are drug addicted, feces on the street, needles on the street, and we're going to worry about this. Okay. It says the order called for the sign to be lit no more than 6 times a year and no more than 3 days per lighting. Okay, so they literally have 6 days a year, and that's too much. That's going to kill the wildlife. It's bull. It's bull. Okay, it's totally bull. The trust was to be responsible for the cost of all city services and other expenses accrued during lighting. Bass rescinded the directive Wednesday night. Her spokesperson told the Times that she's rescinded the directive because there were concerns about the legality of the order. You're not allowed to just leave as governor and say, like, hey, make it so. It says the idea of lighting the Hollywood sign has drawn pushback over the years from groups including the Friends of Griffith Park and the Hollywood Land Homeowners Association. Hollywood Land Homeowners Association, along with local residents who cite environmental, traffic, and safety concerns that may arise as a result. Now, we've talked about this many, many times before, but let me continue. How do you stop things from happening? Okay. How do you get rid of things that people enjoy? You say they're dangerous. Okay. And that you are on the side of safety. When you are on the side of safety, it's unquestioned. You're obviously the good moral person because you care about the welfare of others over yourself. Safety. It's an unattackable, unassailable position. We're closing this playground because it's dangerous and we want our kids safe. We can't seem to fly airplanes on time throughout the United States, but we're concerned, number one, about the safety of those planes when they do fly. You saw it tonight. You're seeing it here. You use safety as a weapon. It's a big, big weapon, a big log to beat people over the head with until they submit. I guarantee you that the racetracks that are going to get shut down in the future will be shut down due to safety concerns. In fact, I can tell you one right now. Lake Hill Speedway in, I would say St. Louis County, right on 141 and 44, was Valley Park, I think that's Valley. Yeah, it's Valley Park, was closed down due to safety reasons. Safety was the ambulance couldn't get through a an underbridge from a railroad to get to the track to help drivers that may be um, injured. Safety killed the track. Safety kills the sign. Safety kills the flights. Safety all the time is what you need to do. Now, again, in the context of, I don't want to see my racetracks go bye-bye due to homeowners associations. I did. I, I'm not, look, I'm not, I can't stand the idea of living in California. I mean, never, never, never. Um, Not for me. Okay. But I don't know enough about California, right? About this sign to have a learned opinion. All I can say is I'm worried about what's going on here because I've seen it happen with dirt tracks across the country. So I figured I'd look up more information. I thought this was good. It says the Hollywood sign. This is on Wikipedia. Now, look, you can say Wikipedia is a terrible, terrible source for information. And I understand. I understand. I know what they're doing. I mean, I see what they do, they being the group of people that edits things. It says it's an American landmark and cultural icon overlooking Los Angeles, California. Originally, the Hollywood Land sign. Okay. I did not know that. I thought it was always Hollywood. Okay. It says spelling out the word Hollywood in 45-foot tall, white uppercase letters and 350 feet long. It was originally created in 1923 as a temporary advertisement for a local real estate development, but due to increasing recognition, the sign was left up and replaced in 1978 with a more durable all steel structure. I was born in 1977. I was not aware that they ever actually redid the Hollywood sign. I was not aware that it wasn't just Hollywood. It was Hollywood Land. Because of its widespread recognizability and visibility from many points across the Los Angeles basement, the sign has been a frequent target of pranks and vandalism across the decades. It has since undergone restoration, including the installation of a security system to deter mischief. The sign is protected and promoted by the nonprofit Hollywood Sign Trust, while its site and the surrounding land are part of Griffith Park. Visitors can hike to the sign from the Bronson Canyon entrance to Griffith Park or from the Griffith Observatory. There's also a trailhead near the Lake Hollywood Reservoir outside of Griffith Park. And although not an access point in itself, there's a popular scenic vista point around Lake Hollywood near the trailhead. And I'm not going to read the whole article. No one wants that, but I'm going to pick out some stuff. It says the original sign was erected in 1923 and originally read Hollywood Land to promote the name of a new housing development in the hills above the Hollywood district of Los Angeles. The sign was originally illuminated and stayed so for about a decade. So from 1923 to 1933, until new owners decided keeping it was too expensive. They contracted the Crescent Sign Company to erect 13 south-facing letters on the hillside. Crescent owner designed the wooden sign 30 feet wide and 50 feet high, white block letters, 4,000 light bulbs. The completed sign alternated between flashing and successive segments, Hollywood and Land as a whole. Below the sign was a searchlight to attract more attention. The poles that supported the sign were hauled to the site by mules. The project cost $21,000, equivalent to $330,000 in 2021. Now that to me seems off. Okay. It says, here it goes. In the 1940s, in time the sign deteriorated. The letter H was destroyed in the 1940s. United Press reported in 1949 winds were to blame, while the Los Angeles Times said the H was destroyed by vandals or windstorms. 1949, the sign drew complaints from local residents who called it an eyesore and a detriment to the community and advocated its demolition. 1949, they're already complaining about the sign. The Hollywood Chamber of Commerce protested against the sign's removal and offered to repair it. The chamber entered into a contract with the City of Los Angeles Parks Department to repair and rebuild the sign. The contract stipulated that land be removed to spell Hollywood and reflect the district, not the Hollywood Land Housing Development. The restoration and the removal of the land portion of the sign was conducted in 1949. This is why I don't know. 1970s, the sign's unprotected wooden sheet metal structure deteriorated over the years. By the 70s, the first O had splintered and broken, resembling a lowercase u, and the third O had fallen down completely, leaving the severely dilapidated sign reading Hollywood. In 1978, a large part because of the public campaign, that's how far we've come. In 1978, the public campaign to restore the landmark by Hugh Hefner. The chamber set out to replace a severely deteriorated sign with a more permanent structure. 9 donors gave $27,000 each, totaling 250,000 equivalent to $1,440,000 in 2021. That's why that doesn't make any sense. So each of these people gave nine. So this would be $9 million in 2021, and they're saying it cost equivalent 330,000 in 2021. This is just me doing math. Maybe I'm bad at it. It says to sponsor replacement letters made of steel supported by steel columns on a concrete foundation. Okay. It said the new version of the sign was unveiled on November 11th, 1978, as the culmination of a live CBS television special commemorating the 75th anniversary of Hollywood's incorporation as a city. Refurbishment donated by Baycal Commercial Painting began in 2005 as workers stripped the letters back to their metal base and repainted them white. It's interesting. It says the 9 donors gave the letters. And it's kind of interesting. Terrence Donnelly, Alice Cooper, who donated in memory of Groucho Marx, Les Kelly, the founder of Kelly Blue Book, Gene Autry, Hugh Hefner, Andy Williams, Giovanni Mazza, Warner Brothers Records, and Dennis Lidke. Okay. So it says considerable public concern has risen over access points to the trails leading to the sign in a residential area. Some residents of the neighborhoods adjoining the sign, such as Beechwood, Cannon Lake, Hollywood Estates, have expressed concerns about the congestion and traffic caused by tourists and sightseers attracted to the sign. So, like, the whole reason people are going and spending money in Los Angeles or in Hollywood are to see this sign, and the people that live there are like, I don't like these people in my neighborhood. In the Los Angeles Times reported in 2013, there are more than 40 tour companies running buses and vans in and out of the canyon, and residents are most concerned about safety issues. Safety, again, use safety. It is like the perfect thing because the curving hillside roads were not designed for so many cars and pedestrians. Los Angeles Fire Department identifies Griffith Park, where the sign resides, as a high fire risk due to the brush and dry climate. Local residents have created fake no access and other misleading signs to discourage people from visiting the sign. So they're not being very neighborly. They're not opening their arms and saying, please come and see our wonderful sign. This is the reason. This is iconic. This is a worldwide sign that people really identify with. But we don't want you to see it because, there could be a wildfire. Safety, traffic, safety. In 2015, here we go. In 2012, Los Angeles City Councilman petitioned GPS manufacturers to redirect traffic away from residential streets, which lack the infrastructure to deal with the large influx of tourists, towards 2 designated viewing areas, Griffith Observatory in Hollywood and Highland Center. The Hollywood Sign Trust, the nonprofit that maintains the sign, also endorses these 2 viewing platforms. Okay. Other mapping services such as Apple Maps and Bing Maps have subsequently followed suit. Bing Maps? What about Waze? I guess they're owned by Google, so it doesn't matter. This was considered deceptive by some as the hike from Griffith Observatory could take up to 2 hours one way. And both locations are considerably further away from other viewing locations of trails. In 2015, the city made the northern parts of Beechwood Canyon into preferred parking districts, restricting parking on most of the streets in the neighborhood to only homeowners. In 2017, the Beechwood Drive gate, an access point to the popular Holly Ridge Trail, was closed to the public by city officials, although it remains accessible as an exit. The closure came as a response to a lawsuit by Sunset Ranch Hollywood Stables against the city for advertising a gate at the bottom of the trail, which directed tourists towards the ranch's exclusive easement. Oh my God. The Los Angeles County Superior Court ruled that Hollywood Stables ruled that although the path was open to the public, the proliferation of its access by the city had interfered with the ranch's business. Thus, the city ordered either to provide access near the start of the easement or reopen a previously closed trail. A spokesman for the office of Councilman David Rue, who succeeded Tom LaBonge, stated it was uncertain the city could have kept the gate open while still complying with court orders. And here they are. The Friends of Griffith Park, Los Feliz Oaks Homeowners Association, Griffith J. Griffith Charitable Trust filed a suit together to reverse the closing of the Beechwood Gate following its closure in 2017. The court ruled in favor of Los Angeles and denied their 2018 appeal. An aerial tramway to the top of Mount Lee and its sign has been proposed numerous times. In 2018, Warner Brothers proposed to fund an estimated $100 million tramway that would run from its Burbank Bank studio lot and up the north face of Mount Lee to a new visitors area near the sign. Other proposals stakeholders have set forth include establishing an official visitor centers for the sign, public shuttle service to lead tourists to the sign or trails, or even erecting a duplicate sign on the opposite side of Mount Lee. Now that seems crazy. I mean, once you have two Hollywood signs, it just seems crazy. Anyway, apparently an actress, Peg Entwisler, climbed a workman's ladder up the top of the letter H and jumped to her death. Seems kind of random in the article. Environmentalists and preservations were concerned about the possibility of real estate development in the area. In April 2009, the Trust for Public Land signed an option to buy the 138 acres of property for a discounted price of $12.5 million. On February 11, 2010, to help raise money and with the support of the city and Hollywood Sign Trust, the organization covered each letter of the sign with large banners reading "Save the Peak." On April 26, 2010, the Trust for Public Land announced it had raised enough money, with Playboy magazine founder Hugh Hefner stepping forward to donate the final $900,000. Hefner later gave a $100,000 donation. After the purchase, the parcel became an extension of nearby Griffith Park. Well, that doesn't seem good. The sign was illuminated as part of the 1984 Summer Olympics. In 1987, promotion for the primetime launch of Fox Television had the sign read Fox for 5 days. A 75-foot tall cutout of Holly Wold, a main character from the film Cool World, which appeared to sit on the sign, was added as part of promotion for the film. The alteration angered local residents who said the cartoon character was appalling and an insult to women. I don't make this stuff up. This is real. Between February, I don't care about that, but between February 14th and 16th, 2022, the sign read Rams House to celebrate the Los Angeles Rams Super Bowl victory. The changes were made by the Rams in collaboration with the City of Los Angeles, the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce, and the Hollywood Sign Trust. Inclement weather delayed its completion because they're the Rams and they suck. Everything about them, especially their owner. Terrible, terrible human being. Leading to the sign reading Rally House for much. I looked up to him, by the way. Remember we talked about be careful who you look up to? I knew about Stan Kroenke years and years and years before he had bought the Rams. I looked up to him as somebody that was a developer, took chances and rewarded for that. It turns out he married a Walmart heiress. So I don't know. And By the way, he made all his money developing Walmart, so it's kind of like, eh, he could say, "Oh, I made my own money." Well, yeah, but I mean, I think they helped. I think knowing a Walmart heir helped. Okay, so anyway, enough of him and their terrible things. It was only completed just days before the Rams' victory parade the following day. The sign was criticized for being unreadable, eliciting negative reactions on Twitter, but was nonetheless praised by some for being reflective of the team's performance in the run-up to the Super Bowl. Yeah. It's amazing how they got to the Super Bowl just after leaving St. Louis, isn't it? It's amazing that the coach that they hired to take them to Los Angeles did the same thing with the Tennessee Titans, a decade ago? And it just happens that the Rams beat the Titans, and then we hire their coach because our fans are really going to like that. Oh, wait a minute. It was all just a scam, basically, a big scam. Now, you may say, well, John, look, St. Louis got all this money as compensation, but we don't have a football team. And we'll never get a football team with this current group of the NFL. Never again. You say, we got 700 million. You're going to have, everyone's going to have, there's going to solve the homeless problem in St. Louis forever. (2022), the sign was lit for the first time in 22 years using laser projections. Rainbow colors were cast on the sign to commemorate Pride Month. A few days later, digital projections were beamed on the sign on the weekend of June 25th and 26th for 2022's BET Awards. So, look, the mayor says, we're not lighting up the sign. Because the other mayor, he's not allowed. He wasn't allowed to make that decision. I'm here now. I'm going to make the decision. You put me there. I mean, okay. Again, the whole point is when you get the community involved, they tend to not want to deal with that stuff. The same way as the racetrack. As soon as you bring people in around the racetrack's days are numbered. It's sad. Now, some of you may be like, look, racing is dirty and burns fuel, and I get it. I get what you're saying. I get it. But I'm just saying, what I'm saying is look, this concept of buying a property and then telling someone who was there before you that you can no longer use it for the express design purpose that you bought it for seems wrong. Doesn't it? It just seems wrong. Moving on, last article. Now, I want you to know ahead of time, I'm not an expert about this. I've only been seeing it recently. I don't know that I understand it. I'm going to read it. We're going to try and learn it together. Please bear with me. 12 states and the District of Columbia allow local governments and private investors to seize dramatically more than what is owed from homeowners who fall behind on property tax payments, according to a new report. Now, this is, let's go over it again. It's from the Epoch Times. It's on Zero Hedge. 12 states and the District of Columbia allow local governments and private investors to seize dramatically more than what is owed from homeowners who fall behind on property tax payments. Okay, so they say, well, you didn't pay your property tax, and then so somehow we get more than that. It says the practice, which Pacific Legal Foundation calls home equity theft, is documented in what the organization bills as the first national study aimed at exposing the injustice of home equity theft through tax foreclosure. Our findings are alarming, says PLF's strategic research director in a statement. Okay. Let's learn. It says home equity theft is robbing thousands of people of their homes and all the equity they've built. A system that allows governments and private investors to take more than what is owed creates a perverse incentive to work against the homeowner, not with the homeowner, to get the tax debt paid. I agree with that. I agree with that. I agree. I don't think many people even think of perverse incentives with anything. The law of unintended consequences is real. So let's look at it. It says homeowners lost more than $777 million in life savings on more than 5,600 homes based on their market value and transactions that took place from 2014 to 2021. The true total is probably higher because statistics from New York State and some statistics from the other states studied were not available. On averages, homeowners lost 86% of their equity, the study found. So what is this? What's going on here? It says government entities, which often unload properties for a fraction of their market value, collected an estimated 26 million more than they were owed on about 1,300 homes. At the same time, private investors who purchased tax liens took in about 250 million more than what they were owed on about 2,600 homes. Okay, so government entities, which often unload properties for a fraction of their market value, collected an estimated 26 million more than they were owed on about 1,300 homes. At the same time, private investors who purchased tax liens took in about 250 million more than what they were owed on about 2,600 houses. So what they're saying is a house goes into a tax debt situation, and when the government takes it over and buys it, they either buy it for cheap, or when they sell it, it's worth more. That's what I'm reading. I don't have it 100% right, but let's continue. Alabama, Arizona, Colorado, Connecticut, Illinois, Maine, Massachusetts, Minnesota, Nebraska, New Jersey, New York, Oregon, South Dakota, and the District of Columbia have laws in the books that let local governments and private investors steal substantial amounts of home equity from homeowners who are late on their property taxes. 9 other states, Alaska, California, Idaho, Montana, Nevada, Ohio, Rhode Island, Texas, and Wisconsin, safeguard home equity in the foreclosure process, but provide loopholes that permit governments or private entities to capture excess equity value that PLF should belong to the homeowner. These laws allow government officials and investors to take homes that have been in families for generations and leave some people homeless over tax debts that, in some cases, work out to less than 1% of the property's value. In one case, a county in Michigan seized a man's house over $8.41 underpayment, leaving him with nothing. The report notes that at the end, the homeowner prevailed when the Michigan Supreme Court determined that the county had acted unconstitutionally. And so, you don't own your property because you didn't pay $8 in taxes. Now you say, well, you always get notices that you owe taxes and stuff. This stuff is all very when you're younger. I'm doing age discrimination, I guess. When you're younger, you have time to do this stuff. You have time to tell others that, look, it's your fault that you don't read your texts, or your fault that you don't read your emails, or all this stuff. But when you're older and you're literally working to put food on the table for your family, okay, I'll tell you what, it starts to get hard to follow all this stuff. I mean, there are so many laws and so many rules and so much money going all over the place. It's very hard to focus on anything. I mean, look at my situation with the county, St. Louis County. My buyer for that house got everything fixed that the inspector requested. The county changes the inspector, makes the guy do 3 times more work, 3 pages more work before he can get a permit to move in. That's very complicated, very complex, especially when the inspectors call you between the hours of 7 and 8, and they don't take calls the rest of the day to schedule appointments. I mean, you're at the absolute mercy of the government in that situation. It's terrible. Something should really be done about that. It won't be. It won't be. But in this case, this group is funding a lawsuit, or is bringing a lawsuit, hopefully, against. First, they're doing a report, but they're trying to right a wrong, and that is the ability for governments and private investors to take properties and steal the equity that other people have put in by literally living there for a long time, if nothing else. It says PLF takes the position that these so-called tax and take transactions violate the Fifth Amendment, which prevents the government from taking property without just compensation. The Eighth Amendment, which bans excessive penalties. Some government treasurers, organizations, counties, and tax lien investors who personally profit off the system in some of these states are in favor of laws that lead to home equity theft. Christina Martin, a senior attorney at PLF, told the Epoch Times. Everybody else seems to be against it. Group on the left, right, and center, the vast majority of people seem to be against this, and most people actually have no idea this is even happening. Did you know this is happening? Did you know that home equity theft was occurring on tax lien sales in local governments? I did not. They don't list Missouri. I know the tax lien. I know I once put together a group that we were going to buy tax liens, and then we backed out because the time for redemption was really long, and we didn't exactly know what was inside the properties. And by the time we figured out what the property would go for, it was a big mess. It didn't work out. I was disappointed, but at the end of the day, the American Legislative Exchange Council, an alliance with the conservative lawmakers, is an alliance of conservative lawmakers as opposed to home equity theft. Law should be changed to require surplus profits to be returned to a home's prior owner after a tax lien investor or county collects what is due and any other debts or levies on the property are paid. That's right. So in bankruptcy, at least in St. Louis County, if you can bring money to the table to pay off the liens, you're allowed to get your property back. I say liens if you're being foreclosed on. If you can pay off the bank, if you can pay off everybody, if you can bring that amount of money, then you get to keep your property, which I think is fair. I really do. The Epoch Times reached out to the Government Finance Officers Association, the National Governors Association, and the National Conference of State Legislatures for comment, but had not received a reply from any of these organizations as of press time. PLF currently has 3 home equity theft-related petitions for homeowners pending before the Supreme Court, all of which are scheduled to be considered by the justices on January 6, 2023. Well, that's nice. I don't think we'll get a ruling. I don't think we'll get a ruling, but it's good to know. Well, what did we learn tonight? I'd say we learned a lot. I mean, we listened to an economist say that things are going to go really just fine. And when we watched somebody that was an economist say things are going to go very badly. We learned about the Hollywood sign. I had not known a lot of the things we learned. I always thought it was lit up. I had no idea. Tax theft, tax lien theft. We learned about that. A strange article about, are we really going to have, how do I put it? A strange article about, are we really going to have remodelers like not do as well this year because people are going to buy fewer homes? And then we talked about Southwest, a company that I admired as a youngster. You should never admire a company as a youngster. You should never admire a person. Put God first. I'm just saying that's what the saying is. I do agree with that because I've been burned so many times in the past. Okay. I'm gonna head on out. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I will catch you on the next one. It should be tomorrow night. It should be about 9:00 p.m. Central Time. Good night.